on the markets. People trading VEPS are the other side if you're afraid, if you're not using it, right? Whether they're part of the alpha trading group or more likely if they're working at a HFT firm and they just have access to massive amounts of capital and resources so they can afford to do what they got to do to run the trades that are on the markets because of quantity, right? They have significant positions. They have significant position sizes. They got their positions based on their position size largely. And if they didn't have significant position size, they wouldn't have a good position in the queue of the order books. But they do because they do. So when they run those positions, right, they load up the order books with their positions, with their position sizes, that is. They get the best entries, the best positions in the order book. So the biggest orders get handled first, and the smaller ones, and then the smaller ones all the way down to the smallest ones. That's how it's always been, and that's probably how it always will be. And if you're thinking, well, that doesn't seem fair, shouldn't it be first come, first serve? Well, no. It should be, maybe. That is an argument. And you're right, it's not fair. But that's not how markets operate. They don't run based on fair. Right? Now, when they say they'll sell you or buy from you at fair market rates, what does that mean? Fair market rates are dynamic, so it doesn't really mean anything. All fair market rate means is the price that the buyer and the seller agreed to trade on. That's all it is. So fair market rate is any, like, you can go into a market and if you see a bottle of caviar that's a bottle of champagne, bottle of caviar, a bottle of champagne for $50, and sure, that's probably relatively cheap. But let's say you see a bottle of champagne for $50 and you want it and you buy it and they sell it to you for that price, that's the fair market rate. And if you see a bottle of champagne right next to it, same exact brand, same label, same everything, same vintage, that one's marked at $2,000 for some reason, and you or someone else agrees to pay for it, and they agree to sell it at that price, it's a fair market rate, even if it happens in the moment, because the buyer and the seller agreed. So that's one reason that markets don't do anything in a fair way, other than technically give you fair market rate, which by definition is anything you agree to spend money on that they agree to sell to you at that price is the fair market rate. Now you can say, well, hang on, if I need a commodity like life-saving, bandages or medicine or water, can they just price gouge me on that and then just say it's fair market rate because I agreed to pay for it? So the answer is, in most civilized countries, no. But there are places that aren't quite so civilized that they can, right? But if you're in a civilized country and you go into a store and you need bandages or medicine or like life-saving medicine, and it's relatively common life-saving medicine, or even if it's not so common, but isn't incredibly hard to get and all that stuff, like regular medicine, or water. Those are things that are usually regulated in price, so they're not usually allowed to charge you more than a certain amount for those things. The reason for that is because they're life-saving things, right? So they're not allowed to gouge you on the price of water, right? Or you're supposed to be able to get water cheap or in many places free. Water, by the way, is one of those very interesting things that shows you the real nature of demand and supply, or supply and demand, and shows you just how much, when the water flows, it's very cheap, if not practically free in many places. And when it's rather limited, it's quite literally more precious than gold, or practically anything, right? For the simple reason that without water, there's obviously no life. Bro, what? Tell us, please, what you mean. I'm from Dallas, Texas. It's about to be 1 a.m. when y'all chat. Where y'all chat from? Chat, LOL. Bro, I'm on Spaceship Earth. Right now it's daytime where I am. Hope you have a good 1 a.m. time. And yeah, it's relatively early in the day. Still day. It is daytime here. Anyway, the point of this video was to remind you that the VEPS with SOL is an incredibly powerful tool. You can use the VEPS to trade SOL and make some nice significant gains. Because volatility, entropy, probability, and statistics will always lead you to the correct information compared to the lagging information that is traditional technical analysis. I don't partake in traditional technical analysis because it's lagging. It's bad information. It's got bad juju. It does not inform you about what is actually happening in the world of trading that you need to know to catch the trades the way you'd like. It's very problematic in that it will basically make you miss the moves. That's what lagging information does. It makes you miss the moves. Now, the way that I can evidence that for you is by just having you look at the SOL chart. And if you look at the SOL chart, and you say, oh, wow, SOL's really, done very well according to our traditional technical analysis, I will tell you, no, it hasn't. It's actually done really well according to the VEPS chart here, according to the returns oscillator that shows you actual divergence, according to the entropy oscillator, according to the entropy indicators down here, any of them. They all work great. I'd like to test them all, so I use them all. According to the Wolfsbane, which is the returns oscillator, or the Z-score, under the variance, or according to the RMLRs there, and the normal distributions and the power means. So SOL has done very well for itself, hitting targets over the last 24 hours that are spot on on things like the VRE and the RMLRs. Now, if you were trading those with, EMAs or SMAs or Fibonacci, and the answer, whether it's going up or down, or up or down, or up or down, is very simply. Now, why do I say that? Right? They either distribute away from the means of returns, or they mean revert to the mean of returns. And that is why we have the power mean ribbon in our tool set. It's not a price ribbon. It's not a lagging EMA or SMA ribbon. It's a ribbon of the returns, of the means of returns. Where the returns, where the returns are mean reverting from and to. And that's why we know, for example, with our reverse mean of log returns, that we can predict the future direction of the reverse mean of log returns. That means that we can know when the asset is actually in mean reversion, and that means we can know when it completes a mean reversion, because we can see when the asset completes the mean reversion. Why? Well, because we can see when the returns do, and we can see when the asset follows. Guess what? They're usually hand in hand. Why are they usually hand in hand? Well, they're usually hand in hand because, quite typically, price action, most of the time, pretty much the only thing it can do in any reliable way, price action follows the returns. That's what price action does. Price action follows the returns. Most of the time, that is all it does. So, I'll show you what I mean by that in a minute. I'll show you that on Solana, in case you want to know. I think he's Jewish. His stove is still lighting. You're funny. No, that's there's other things happening. You think you saw me in the TV show Outsiders? I don't know what being Jewish has to do with a stove lighting, but okay. Anyway, let me show you what I mean about the returns. Mean reverting. Okay, yeah. The returns. See this little line that goes up from negative to positive? The line in the middle, the dotted line, is the mean of returns, okay? When the returns are negative, because they've distributed from a higher place or wherever, right? They distributed down to the negative territory, then they mean revert back to the return, to the means. And then they distribute away from the mean to the upside, and then they revert, right? They're constantly zigzagging, right? The squiggles are shaped differently, but they're always zigzagging around the mean of returns. It doesn't matter if I'm using the short length, which is the one on top, or the longer length, They're always going to be doing distributions and mean reversions. And the price action follows. And the correlation of the returns plus the returns shows you the direction that is probable. Just like the volatility and the correlation shows you the likely price action. Very nicely. Look, you see those both expanded, expanded, expanded. Price action go up. See that? Expansion, expansion. Price action go up. Right? Same here with the longer length. Here you had them going down, right? I know here on this one they expanded, expand, and then they both went down, down. And what happens when they both go down? More expansion. Because positive, positive equals positive, and negative, negative equals positive. And that's volatility and correlation for you, them being that returns mean revert, right? We also have this version of the returns indicator called the alpha laser returns, ALR, right there, ALR. Here you can see the alpha laser returns, which is an oscillator of the returns when they're positive or negative. You can see when they're distributing away from the means or mean reverting to the mean. Distributing from the mean, mean reverting to the mean. Right? You can see, and those lines above and below the mean of returns are the standard deviation of returns. What are those standard deviations of returns? Those are literally volatility markers. This is volatility. This is historical volatility right here, right? AVP, alpha volatility percentage. It's showing you historical volatility. This is the volatility, right? The standard deviation lines. That is the volatility. That is how far away from the mean each returned candle is. And yes, you can use that to trade divergences. You can use this indicator to trade bear divergences. You can trade bull divergences. You know, it even shows hidden bear and hidden bull, right? Not just regular bear and regular bull. And that's the real divergence to use, not price-based returns, price-based divergences using RSI or things like that, because that will just fool you. So that's what there is to say about that. If you want to trade with the VEPS and cutting leading edge on, if you want to have basically leading information on the trades that you're making, I highly recommend trading the VEPS and not using lagging information. It will change the way you trade. And that's going to be it for now. I bid you all adieu. Hope you all have a wonderful day. Happy trading. Peace.